Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Board of Education. The meeting is called to order at 4 p.m. in open session. Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet, Ms. Armstrong,
Present.
Ms. Cintron, Mr. Critchfield,
Present.
Mrs. Garza, Ms. Stewart.
Present. Tonight we do not have requests addressing closed session agenda items. At this time, the board will recess to closed session. Open session will resume at approximately 6 p.m. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's meeting of the Board of Education was called to order at 4:01 p.m. in open session. The board then adjourned to closed session at 4:02 p.m., and we will now reconvene the meeting into open session at 6:05 p.m. Board Clerk Critchfield, will you update us on closed session topics?
Thank you, Madam President. The topics discussed in closed session were student matters, anticipated litigation, pending litigation, labor negotiations, and public employee discipline, dismissal, and release. The board took no action in closed session.
Thank you. All right, so for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight, we have our Bellflower High School counselor, Miss Anna Fujimoto, who is my own daughter's counselor, so I'm so excited to see you here, and she would love that you're here as well. She's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, will you push the button? There you go.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
All right, tonight we do not have replacement pages. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
No amendments this evening.
Okay, so tonight we are going to be recognizing from Bellflower High School, and Michelle Paredes is going to do the recognition for Miss Rana. I didn't know your last name. Will you come up and tell me how you say it? I was going to take a stab at it, but I'd rather you just say it and then I won't mess it up.
It's pronounced Rana Ecladios.
Ecladios. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So she is our student spotlight tonight. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and all other guests. I'm honored to stand here tonight and give the inspirational message. When I started high school, I wasn't very involved. My grades were okay, and I didn't really push myself. As a first-generation immigrant, I didn't have guidance to fully understand what it took to get into a four-year university. I was shy and lacked confidence in myself. But by the end of my freshman year, I realized that if I wanted to reach my goals, I had to step up. After talking with my counselor and joining AVID, I started to focus more on my academics and extracurricular involvement. It eventually developed two passion projects, the Wellness Garden and Buck Bargains. From that point on, I gave everything I had. While I cared about my grades, my clubs especially became very important to me. My friends joked that I have a club monopoly with all of my president positions. The truth is, I love being involved. I poured my energy into everything I did because I believed in my work. Like many students with big dreams, I hoped my hard work would open the doors to my top colleges. I realized I had been seeking validation through college decisions, but I've come to understand that my success isn't measured by where I got in, but by how much I've grown along the way. Success isn't about being perfect. It's about not giving up. It's about getting back up when things don't go your way. It's about being the person who still tries after failure, after frustration, and after disappointment. And if you put your mind to something, work hard, and ignore all the doubts, you can do anything. Freshman year, I was too scared to even speak in front of a group of people, let alone give a speech. Yet here I am now, standing before you all, speaking about an award I earned through countless hours of public speaking. Fall of senior year, I applied to 32 universities. I am proud to say I have been accepted to multiple prestigious universities, including NYU and Boston College. But I have decided to commit to the University of California, Riverside on a full-ride scholarship, majoring in neuroscience. I'd like to thank my family and friends for the...
Congratulations.
I'd like to thank my family and friends for their unwavering support, and my advisors for challenging me and giving me these opportunities. Your belief in me has made all the difference. To anyone who has ever doubted themselves, keep pushing, keep believing. You are capable of more than you know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So good evening, board members and guests. My name is Michelle Paredes, and I am a counselor at Bellflower High School. And it is my pleasure to introduce our spotlight student, Rana Ecladios. Those who know Rana, whether it's administration, teachers, or clerical staff, would agree that she truly embodies what Buck Pride stands for: positivity, respect, integrity, dedication, and excellence. Rana is always seen greeting others with a warm, genuine smile, and she approaches her future with incredible optimism and excitement. She applied to over 32 universities. Her dream is to one day become a neurosurgeon, and there's no doubt in my mind that she has the drive to make it happen. So it's been an absolute pleasure being your counselor, and I'm so proud of you. Okay, and a short presentation on Rana. Next slide. Oh, sorry. So Rana first traveled here from Egypt when she was 6 years old, and her family came straight to Bellflower. She attended Washington Elementary since preschool, and again, she plans to go to UC Riverside and major in neuroscience. She likes to read, garden, and eat Korean barbecue. Her long list of accomplishments: she is the NHS president for the 24-25 school year, state level 2 years in a row for Skills USA nursing assistant. She won first place for the Girls Summit Political Science competition and won a $700 prize. She was the founder of our Butterfly Effect Club, which is our mental health club on campus. And she's also the founder and CEO of Buck Bargains, which is our thrift store on campus. She's the creator of the Wellness Garden on campus. She presented the garden at state level competition and received first place in regionals and third place in state. Also a Fright Farm student representative, Skills USA vice president, and the lead medic of the football team. Key Club, she's been a member 4 years as event coordinator. World Language Club is also the event coordinator. Red Cross volunteer. Coptic Diocese volunteer. Atlas UCLA pre-med internship. Avid member 3 years, CSF member for 4 years, CalAP Student of the Year Award in Health Occupations, and a 2-year intern at Child Mind Institute. So she has a lot of accomplishments. And lastly, these are, I know it's small, but these are just when we reached out to some of her teachers and staff members if they wanted to have any words about her quotes, they all wrote in, and she was able to read those, so that was just nice. And there's pictures of her garden, and that's it. That's our spotlight student for the 24-25 school year.
Is there anything else you would like to say to us tonight? I know you're shy, but if there's anything else, anyone you want to thank, anybody you want to, anything?
Well, I obviously want to thank my family and my best friend, Nathalie, and my friend Surya for coming here today for me. But I also want to thank Dr. Scipio and Miss Tara Lee for always being like my supporters, and they've been my mentors for the past, well, Dr. Scipio for 4 years, and then Miss Tara Lee for the past years. They've been like a crutch for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I think that's so awesome. It's really exciting to see such great things that you're doing. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, can we take, are you shy or will you take a picture with us? Yes, can we take a picture? Yes, please, if the board will join us. Okay, moving along to our student representative reports. Tonight, our first report will be from Bellflower High School, Mr. Steven Martinez. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Stewart, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Ms. Acevedo, guests, and fellow students. I'm Steven Martinez, and this is Bellflower High School's April board report. So, starting off with our staff versus student basketball game, our varsity basketball team went up against some of our favorite staff members at the school, and it was overall a great environment. Sadly, the staff lost 39-42 in the last minute. In the last minute, it was pretty sad, but they had a great time. So next is state testing. Currently, state testing started this week on Tuesday, and for the first week of testing, it ended this morning. Students who met or exceeded the standard last year got TK burgers, which include fries, drink, and a burger. This was 564 students who met that standard. Next was the job tank. So yesterday, we had the job tank at Bellflower High School. Over 27 companies came out to interview kids and help them learn interview skills or even get a job. Companies like AT&T, Boeing, Bellflower Unified, and JP Morgan came out to interview students. So some of our notable, there was different jobs that were offered, such as Rana, the student. She was offered a lab position with Kaiser Permanente. 3 students were offered a job at Wells Fargo. Lazy Acres had 2 job offers. Norms 5, City of Bellflower Parks and Recreation 2. In addition, as one of our Bellflower High School alumni was interviewing students on behalf of the Child Mind Institute. Overall, a good amount of jobs are offered. Students were able to look into new careers that they wouldn't have originally thought of beforehand. Yeah, and honestly, these are a lot of like hands-on jobs that students are able to look into that won't be affected by like the rise of AI, because a lot of these students want to go into fields and don't want to have that worry. So this was more in it helped them just feel confident going into the workforce. So next is our SoCA Senior event. Our SoCA Senior event was a fundraiser for the class of 2025 where students could pay to wet some of their favorite students or some of their favorite staff members. You can see different pictures of the 4 groups that we had this week, and Alyssa Supnet will be able to talk about that later on. Next, we have our Prom Spirit Week. Our Prom Spirit Week is next week, as prom is next Saturday. So this is going to be a different Spirit Week compared to our last ones. This is going to be more of a versus Spirit Week. So like soccer moms versus barbecue dads, or country versus country club. Students will be able to choose in between those 2. In addition, prom. This year's prom theme is Casablanca. It's going to be held at the Ovation in Long Beach next Saturday, May 3rd at 7 p.m. And on the right side, you can see some pictures of the venue. Next is Jamie Oliver. Jamie Oliver's Ministry of Food came out to the Oneness Garden and was able to make pizza with students and teach them how to make homemade pizza. I want to congratulate our Bellflower Middle High School Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Schussler, for all the hard work that she does around school, in addition to Mr. Ellis for receiving the Spinetta Pride of Bellflower Service Award. They're really great teachers, and we want to thank them for everything that they've done, especially this year. Some other events that are coming up that I'll talk about more in the next board meeting is the Los Angeles County Superintendent meeting is be held at the Nutrition Center, where they'll come on a campus and meet Jamie Oliver and his team and be able to see students that are cooking with Jamie Oliver as well as his camera crew. Our middle school Foam Malicious Spring Dance is going to be our first foam dance, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. In addition, Teacher Appreciation Week and National School Principal Day is coming up, where we'll be able to thank our teacher and Mr. Lundgren for everything that they do for us. This is Bellflower's April board report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now for Mayfair, and I'm glad to see your mom here. His mom was an alumni of ours at Bellflower. We have Gil Friedman.
Thank you. Good evening, President Stewart, board members, Interim Superintendent Ms. Acevedo, district colleagues, and guests. This is the Mayfair board report for the month of April. I want to start off by congratulating Miss Adriatico, who was named the Skills USA Regional Advisor of the Year this past spring break, along with the 6 contestants that will be moving on to the nationals level. Congratulations. The district held their first Star Awards at Mayfair campus in the STEAM building this past Monday. Here's a video of some of the winners. Congratulations to Mr. Phillips, who was named Mayfair's Teacher of the Year. He's a great guy, and we're sad to see him go, but it's a great way to go out. He's had a great year. Around the spring break time, we had many trips. Maritime took a California tour up and down the coast. The world language classes took a trip to Taiwan. Band took a trip to Hawaii, and Skills USA had their contest in Ontario. So here are some pictures from those things. I think that's a video of them speaking Taiwanese, I believe. I think it's muted though. But here's some more pictures. We are currently on the testing schedule, which I cannot thank you guys enough for that. It has been truly amazing waking up at 10 every single day, and for the next week too. I'm not looking forward to next year, but yeah, it's been great. All right, coming up, we're going to continue testing, which concludes next week. The end of the year activities, awards, and recognitions are coming up. AP testing begins next month. Future college announcements will drop next week. Prom is coming up on May 10th, and 8th grade is taking their trip to DC and New York City. So have fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then from Somerset, we have Island Roy. Welcome.
Hi. Good evening, President Stewart, member of the board, Superintendent Acevedos, and guests. My name is Island Roy. I am a junior at Somerset High School, and thank you for the opportunity to share the latest activities at Somerset with you tonight. Somerset is excited to welcome Giselle Hernandez as our new career technologist. Ms. Hernandez will be helping students discover what they want to do after high school by connecting them with colleges and career pathway opportunities. We are excited to have her start with us on Monday. The students at Somerset enjoyed the recent college and career fair. They had opportunities to visit colleges and military reps, as well as hear about unique jobs by the board by members of the local community. 2 local community members, Jennifer Cox and from Mama Osa and California State Advocate Ariel P. We are returning next week to engage students into interacting workshops. 3 Somerset staff members were recognized at the first annual BUSD Star Awards. We are grateful that Woody Grayson, our fantastic campus security leader, Mark Johnson, our wonderful science teacher, and BTA representative, and Elizabeth Egan, our caring and kind English and gardening teacher. We honored for their dedication to student success in both in and out the classrooms. The California Continuation Education Society Conference is this weekend, and Somerset has a lot of exciting news to share. In addition to Somerset being named the Model Continuation High School, Mr. Ramada's Haunted House was selected as an excellent program, as Ms. Egan was chosen as Teacher of the Year for 2nd Region, which covers counties from LA to Santa Barbara. The school and these 2 educators are being recognized this weekend at the conference in San Diego. The Enrich LA Garden performs teachers and students about the sustaining living, nutrient, food production, and culture. Ranger Danielle works collaboratively with Ms. Egan to help students understand the connection between the food we eat and our wellness as individuals, as a collective society. 2 Somerset students were recently recognized with a scholarship related to competitions they won. Liz Nunez participated in the Lions Club speech contest and won a $400 scholarship money for her speech about artificial intelligence. Liz was supported by her teacher, Mr. Amata, and Ms. Egan. Yvette Gudado participated in the state competition for Skills USA in the area of telecommunication cabling and was rewarded a $2,000 scholarship from the LA County Individual and Technical Education Association for her outstanding accomplishments in the industrial art. Yvette was encouraged and supported by her teacher, Mr. Guzman. We are proud of their accomplishments. And another big press moment for Somerset High School, we are selected to be a highlighted school in the March/April edition of the CCEA Spotlight online newsletter called The Spotlight. You can read all about us at the cceanet.org. Finally, we have some upcoming events. Block 8 starts on May 5th, and we have our Spring Awards night planned for May 14th at the Bellflower Auditorium. Pretty soon we will be celebrating graduation on Tuesday, June 3rd at Bellflower School, Ron Urey Stadium. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. I know you guys are excellent students, and I know you guys do a lot of things, so we understand that if you have other obligations with your family, academics, so you're free to leave, as always. Thank you so much for your reports. Okay, so next we have our employee representative reports, and first, can we please have from BTA, Ms. Carrie McDaniels, our president.
Good evening, Interim Superintendent Azevedo, Board President Stewart, members of the Cabinet, members of the Board, and members of the audience. I feel really loud. BTA is pleased to announce that our tentative agreement for the 24-25 school year has been officially ratified by our teachers. Before spring break, I met with Alma to review concerns. I always appreciate her explanations and the way she responds to my emails. I attended the last Alliance meeting of the year as we talked about what has been accomplished. We have had some great conversations about processes and protocols, and I look forward to seeing the continued progress. I had a wonderfully restful spring break and was not ready for the alarm clock Monday morning, even though I knew it was going to happen. It was nice to relax and spend time with my parents and my husband at the river in Park, Arizona. I met with Mrs. Azevedo on Monday for our monthly meeting, and I attended the Star Awards on Monday night, and they were really great. I think the teachers and the CSCA staff felt really appreciated, and I love seeing the cheese bread making a comeback. Congratulations to Tom Phillips, Mayfair Teacher of the Year and District Teacher of the Year, and Selena Lopez Padilla, the District Classified Employee of the Year. I look forward to this new tradition continuing into the future and bringing us all together to celebrate the wonderful people who work in BUSD. BTA has finished its elections for the year, and we have a new president, Mr. John Young from Ramona. Our new vice president is Amy Mustafa, and returning members, Elementary Director Unju Taub and Secondary Director Robin Baylog. The new board members will start July 1, and we are looking for another elementary director to fill John's spot. And declaration of candidacy forms are due May 2nd, if anybody's listening. Next Friday is May 2nd. How did that happen? Testing is underway, and I am looking forward to seeing the data and if having no combo classes paid off this year. I sure hope it did. The high schools have special testing schedules that allow for students to focus on testing in the morning and attend classes after snack. Every year this process gets a little better, and I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do something different. Finally, of you who attended the WHO Awards last night, I'm not one to celebrate myself, but it was nice. It was a nice evening, and I appreciate all of you who have supported me over the last couple of years. Being union president is not an easy job. I can never make everyone happy. Having hard conversations is hard and not fun. But being true to who I am in my conversations with all of you has gotten me through. And as I wrap up my term, I just wanted to say a few things. Some of you knew me before I was BTA president. I was the ELD teacher at Mayfair, always asking and wanting more for our ELD students. Some of you I've met over my term as president because we were bound together through the fate and journey of this job. And if there's anything I have learned is that relationships matter and how we treat people matter. It's many of you and your relationships that have gotten me through this job. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and congratulations again, and we will definitely miss you, but you'll still be around to talk with us. All right, so from CSEA, can we have the CSEA Communications Officer, Mr. Anthony Ramirez, please join us. Thank you.
All right. Board President Stewart, board members, Superintendent Azevedo, Cabinet, BTA and PTA leadership, back here somewhere, and members of the public, good evening. I'm here to give you a brief update on CSEA classified activities. On Monday, CSEA was happy to attend the inaugural BUSD Star Awards. Classified employees were selected from every department and recognized as a respective employee of the year. It was wonderful to see the district come together and celebrate the hard efforts of both teachers and classified staff. But we want to especially congratulate the following department employees of the year: paraprofessional Stacy Abrego, clerical services worker Gladys Awalewa, skilled tradesman Dennis Coleman, transportation mechanic Gary Gatpandan, campus security worker Woody Grayson, technology services worker Luis Lopez, custodial services worker Selena Lopez Padilla, and nutrition services worker Martha Orme. In addition, CSEA would like to congratulate custodian Selena Lopez Padilla for being selected as a 2025 BUSD Classified Employee of the Year. CSEA also had negotiation sessions yesterday with the district on April 23rd, and we are grateful to Dr. Smith and his team for all the good faith bargaining culture. It's very much appreciated. We successfully reached agreement on all current outstanding contract articles. Yay! Chapter President Michelle Cuellar, I think she stepped out for a minute, and Labor Rep Dotu Hospitalis have met with you, Board President Stewart, and separately with Superintendent Azevedo. Thank you both for the open dialogue. We welcome that culture and environment. They also met with Dr. Olmos, back here, Classified HR Executive Director, and he described his vision for bringing all of the HR processes into the digital age. So that's a welcome advancement of our technology services here. Unfortunately, CSEA was unable to attend the BUSD LCAP District Advisory Group and the Parent Advisory Committee yesterday. Perhaps in the future, the scheduling of the DAC-PAC meetings can accommodate CSEA's own regularly scheduled meeting calendar. That's all I have. Thank you for the opportunity to update you on what CSEA has been doing for the month of April. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And congratulations to your employees. That was awesome. All right, PTA Communications. Can we have President Linda Morgan?
Good evening, President Stewart, board members, Interim Superintendent Azevedo, Cabinet, staff, and those in attendance or watching. I'll just be sharing a little bit about what our PTAs have been up to and share some fun photos for the month. First, of course, our membership update. Just a recap of how our units have been doing as far as their individual membership drive this year. And the 9 out of the 10 elementary schools that reached 100% teachers this year, which was an interesting competition to listen in on. And so as a whole, council has 2,482 total PTA members. So we did surpass last year's numbers by at least 70 members. A little bit of the breakdown, and then that includes our 181 supporters, including our community members. So thanks to Ms. Armstrong, Azevedo, Bonnie Carter, Brad Critchfield, Ryan Smith, Amy Stewart, and BTA for their support this year. As far as April, a lot of our PTAs held their spring events and their volunteer recognitions. A couple of our PTAs shared some of their own photos with me, starting with Washington Elementary PTA and their Easter Bunny classroom visit and photo ops. Woodruff Elementary PTA and their Easter Bunny visit and Easter egg hunt. Lindstrom Elementary and their family glow party dance, their volunteer recognitions or honorary service awards, and then a photo of their current board, trying to finish up those last minute photos for their yearbook. And then council earlier this month held our Reflections celebration. I wanted to thank Amy Stewart, Brad Critchfield, and Myra Garza for attending and helping us recognize our very creative students. Real quick, for those that don't know, I'm pretty sure by now everybody knows, but Reflections is our national PTA art program, and all students can participate at their PTA site, at their school site. So then what council did is we collected all their first place winners from each of the 6 categories and then Great Division, and we collected those for judging and recognition, and so we did that earlier this month. And I know it's a little early, but next year's theme is I Belong. So for those that, you know, use Reflections art program as a fun summer activity, there you go, you can get started. Upcoming events are our historian mixer, or that's what we call it. It's our showcase night. So it's the evening where we celebrate and share the achievements that our PTAs have done. And that's on May 6th. Our honorary service awards, our annual event where we honor special individuals and amazing organizations that you know, have made an impact on our school community. We recognize those on Friday, May 9th, and that is mostly by invitation. But we look forward to celebrating. It's very much like the Star Awards, and it's always fun. You know, a lot of the people that were recognized at the Star Awards have either already received or might be receiving an HSA award from our PTA. So we always enjoy recognizing and celebrating all that go above and beyond for our students. And then we are preparing for next school year as well. To the left is our incoming board for 25-26, and they start on July 1st as well. We're already in transition, and then we have our California State PTA Convention coming up on May 2nd through the 4th, and we have about 12 people from 7 of our PTAs that will be attending meetings, workshops, networking, collecting resources, and having a lot of fun. And then just wanted to thank you guys. I realize that this may also be my last board report, so thank you for your support this year. And for those that want to see some awesome presentations and learn more about PTA, again, our historian mixer is Tuesday night, May 6th, right here in the boardroom at 6 p.m. So anyone is free to join us that evening as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you've done, too. We really appreciate you. All right, moving on to Superintendent's report. Mrs. Acevedo.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody back from spring break. I'm hoping that that break provided everyone time to relax and reset. We're heading into a very busy season. As we know, the month of May and June brings lots of celebrations, our annual assessment, as was mentioned earlier, recognitions, promotions, graduation. So it's a very busy month, so hang on. I would also like to thank Dr. Almos, Dr. Knox, and Dr. Smith for the Star Awards and their support staff. As you've heard from multiple individuals tonight, that really was a success. It's our first time doing this in Bellflower Unified, so thank you so much for staff and your teams for doing that. I think it was an outstanding way to shine and highlight those members that really are super dedicated to Bellflower Unified, so thank you so much for doing that. It's also that time of year that I need to share with you that the district has recently completed the quarterly uniform complaint report summary for January through March of 2025 as required by the county as a result of the Williams settlement legislation. There were no complaints received during this quarter in the areas of instructional materials, facilities, or teacher assignments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving along to our committee updates, we're going to start with our Alliance Committee. Again, this is basically to strengthen and collaborate communication with all of our stakeholders as far as our unions. Ms. Garza, do you want to add anything on that? I know we did talk about transportation. We talked about climate and culture. Just a lot about, different things that we can do in the following year. It was kind of our wrap up, our end of the year meeting. So those were some of the things. Systems, procedures, things, protocols we talked about. So yeah, the Alliance meetings are really awesome, and we always have our president and vice president, so no matter who that person is, those two attend that meeting with our unions. Did we have a SPED meeting? SPED committee meeting? Yes? Then no? No, okay. Foundation, Mr. Critchfield, would you like to add on that one?
Should the Foundation Committee met on April 2nd to go over board applications, and that recommendation will be before the board this evening.
Okay, and then either of you guys want to talk at all about your declining enrollment facilities subcommittee?
So that committee hasn't met since the San Diego trip, so I think we're just waiting to put the next one on the books.
Okay. And then we had our safety standing committee with Board Member Cintron and Board Member Critchfield.
Yep, that next meeting's coming up, and I believe we're going to be speaking on the Evolve technologies, and there's also some really cool vape detection technology. So the next meeting, we're going to be digging into some really cool things and getting information on that. But do we have the next date for that committee on the books yet?
We do. I believe that date's been set out, but I can look it up and make sure we send out another email about that.
Okay, cool. But that's it.
Okay, we also had our athletic committee. What we did in our first committee meeting was we analyzed the athletic code of conduct. We made some changes. Really what we were looking to do is put in some, not just tier levels of consequences, but also tier levels of intervention as well. So we tried to piece together, if this offense takes place, what would be the consequence, but not just the consequence, adding in an intervention as well so that we can help our student athletes get back on the field, get back to practice and things like that. We're looking at the parent code of conduct as well as some other things. Mr. Critchfield, do you want to add anything? Clerk Critchfield?
No, I just want to say thank you for having that committee, because I think one thing in committee that was very obvious is the student-focused nature of whether it's code of conduct, but everything, including discipline, very student-focused. So, no, I'm just happy to be a part of that one.
Awesome. Our climate and culture meeting, we're going to be meeting next in May, the first, what is it, when we change it, May, we're going to be meeting the second week in May, so we do have a plan for that coming up. Legislative Action Committee, that would be Mrs. Garza, and Mr. Critchfield. Anyone want to add on that one?
Yes, we just discussed, what we're going to be the focus of the conversations when our group goes to Washington, D.C. to advocate at Coast to Coast. We gave some recommendations, and there will be some follow-up conversations when the group gets there.
Anything to add? No? Cal Apps? Clerk Critchfield, do you want to talk about? We had a meeting last week, Cal Apps.
Yeah, just our regular meeting on that was what, the 2nd? Or, just our regular meeting. We sent a group of students to Skills USA, and then we'll have our next regular meeting coming up. I'm afraid to look at my schedule these days, but it's coming up.
May 8th. And do you have anything from LACSTA?
I do.
Go ahead. Board Member Armstrong?
On LACSTA, LA County School Trustees Association, we met on the 21st, and again, we have a lot of Senate bills, Assembly bills coming through. Our president of LACSTA will be providing a witness testimony in support of Senator Lena Gonzalez on SB Senate Bill 48 and 49. That's the advocacy for immigration. Assembly Member Maratsuchi has the Assembly Bill 49. That's for the safe haven for students. They're going to have a follow-up meeting for that one. Excuse me. And there are other education bills and considerations that we do need letters of support. Like one of them is from Assembly Member Isaac Bryan. He's in support of dual enrollment for universal access to dual enrollment. And I have a template letter if you're interested in just put it in one of those letters also, because that's how we do it. We just try to flood them with letters. We also had a person, his name was Jeff, I didn't write his name down. He came out and gave us information on education, work, housing in California. And he shared with us some of the schools that have already done it and already have buildings to where they are, placing people in these affordable homes to be able to teach in their district. So I got the handbook of the do's and don'ts and the update of who's already participating in that. And I don't know whether we will ever need that, but they are using the school properties to build housing. And it's just a whole, it was really interesting to see what they're doing to make, to bring teachers, qualified teachers into the area to teach the children. And I think, I'm not going to say any names, I'd have to look at it, but we have districts right here in our area that are participating in that. We have our next meeting on May 19th, in which we will have election for officers for the next school year. And so, and I also want to just make sure that, like we have these different committees so that, everybody doesn't have to do everything. But I want you guys to know that our board members really do work hard. While they are invited to these meetings also, you guys can actually come to these meetings too. We're all members. And so if you just happen to want to, I don't know how, but if you have time, pop in, because a lot of our meetings are online, but the next one will be in person. And that's it for LOCSTA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Board Member Armstrong. All right, tonight we do have requests addressing open session agenda items. While the meetings of the governing board are not public meetings, they are open to the public. Individual speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board will limit the total time for public input on each item to 21 minutes as per board bylaw 9322.2. May I have Ms. Julia Ranson? Thank you so much. And we all did receive the packet that you gave us, so thank you for that in advance. Yeah, you pushed the little, there you go.
All right. Good evening, Board President, board members, Interim Superintendent Lisa Acevedo, Cabinet, and guests. On behalf of the teachers and students and the staff at the Adult Transition Center, I'm here, my name is Julia Ranson, to express strong support for Mr. James Watwood to remain in his position as principal at the Adult Transition Center and the Bay Center. The last few years, we at the ATC have been in constant state of chaos. Thanks to all of you, that has calmed down. And we've had struggle and confusion from many changes of administrators, support staff, and lack of clear communication from our district. Out of the chaos, though, comes hope. And I would say I would label this year as creating hope for us, finally. Mr. Watwood, in his background in counseling and coaching, has been able to create an environment of harmony for the teachers and staff. He's been able to create a cohesive and defined procedure manual for us, the first one we've ever had. We have a procedure manual for our CBIs so that we all follow the same rules and regulations. He's been able to follow all 4 domains leveled for students' abilities, their success, and their safety. His expectations are fair and compassionate, and he's able to bring out the best in us. He's able to make the teachers want to work harder and together because he truly believes in our program and in us. Students consistently express that no one listens to them the way Mr. Watwood does. His empathy, attentiveness, and unwavering commitment to their growth have created a safe and supportive environment where individuals feel seen, heard, and valued. Under his guidance, students have found not only structure and consistency, but genuine hope for their futures. Since news of a possible leadership change, there has been an overwhelming response of disappointment, sadness, and frustration among all of us. Many feel disrespected, undervalued, and worried about what lies ahead. Mr. Watwood has helped us believe in our potential as a program and as individuals. To lose him would be to strip away a vital source of encouragement and belief in our capabilities. What sets Mr. Watwood apart is his ability to recognize and nurture the potential in every student and staff member. He's created a culture of inclusion, respect, and growth that cannot easily be replicated. He has been a steady and trusted advocate for those who are too often underestimated. For these reasons and so many more, we urge you to reconsider any decision that would remove Mr. Watwood from his role. His continued presence is not only important, it's essential to the well-being and the progress of the students and the mission of the Adult Transition Center. Once again, we appreciate your time and consideration regarding this important matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to discussion items. Tonight we have one discussion item. We have a presentation from School Services of California. Mrs. Acevedo.
That is correct, and I will turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Mrs. Azevedo. Good evening, President Stewart, board members, and community members. Tonight we welcome representatives from School Services of California who conducted an organizational review of our Personnel Services Division. This study comes at a key moment as this is the first year that Personnel Services and Business Services are operating as separate divisions. We appreciate the board's support in commissioning this important work. The focus of the review is on structure, staffing, and operations with the goal of strengthening our systems and improving how we support employees across the district. We're grateful to School Services for their partnership, and I'd like to thank Danielle Connolly and Dr. Sarah Neiman for leading this effort. Please join me in welcoming them as they present their findings and recommendations.
I think it turned on itself. Hi. Thank you. Good evening, Board President Stewart, Board of Education, Interim Superintendent Acevedo, Cabinet, community. It is such a pleasure to come on a night where you're recognizing students, the transitions from leadership in your labor partners. Such a positive night. My name is Sarah Neiman. I'm from School Services. I'm here with my partner, Danielle Connolly. And we do this work a lot with school boards and school districts, but we also come from school districts. We held positions in K-12 districts up and down the state. We come with a lot of experience in HR. And I will say it's a lot of fun to be in Bellflower. We really enjoyed, we were here visiting when the Dodgers won the World Series. So you can imagine we were here one day and then they won the final game. And then the next day we walked into HR and they were all wearing Dodger gear. It was like Halloween weekend or Halloween week. It was a real fun time to be here in Bellflower. And just prior to this board meeting, we spent a few hours with them in training, talking about best practices in human resources. And I know I can speak for Danielle when I say it really was a pleasure to work with the department. So I want to thank you for inviting us in. As Dr. Smith mentioned, we were invited to come in and do an organizational review and staffing review of the Personnel Services Department. In order to do that, we took a look at the documents, the procedures that the department had in place, anything that was on the website. We spent 2 days interviewing every single staff person, customers of the department, and labor partners to determine, what are some of the things that we're seeing in the department, what are some areas of growth. We're really focused on the function of the department and how they're working to be productive. We don't audit the department. We're not evaluating the effectiveness of personnel. We're just looking at structures that are in place and the overall staffing within your human resources department. We had some key observations, and I'll tell you that a number of these observations are not unique to Bellflower. When I say that in HR, there's a heavy reliance on historical practices, this is a very common thing we see in school districts, right? We hire an employee to come into our school district, and they learn by doing the job. They learn because somebody internally has trained them. And so there is this reliance on historical practices rather than formal training that takes place through an association or some sort of human resources organization. There's a lot of inward training. But that results in some practices being outdated. Our practices in HR post-COVID are very different than they were pre-COVID, right? When we could post a job and everyone would come flooding and it was so easy, it's a little bit harder now. And so our practices need to evolve. Our organizational structure, we took a look at the workload and the job duties along with the job descriptions to see if there was alignment within the job descriptions and the duties and the titles. To see really if there was a way for us to reassign the work, retitle those positions. And as we note in the report, the job descriptions are severely outdated. Again, not uncommon. It takes a lot of work to redo job descriptions. It's not always at the forefront of our mind. But as our work has changed, so do our job descriptions to be more relevant and to be more competitive in this market. I know we'll talk a little bit about this later, but kudos to the new leadership that you have in HR because they are working really hard to update some of those job descriptions as they can. We noted, so if you think back to October when we were here, I think it was Dr. Knox's it was her second day in the job, and Dr. Olmos had been selected but had not gone through the appointment process yet. So there was a period of transition. So kudos to the district. You have some exemplary leaders here, and they are really bringing some stability and vision to the department. And we talk about professional training in the report, the lack of formal training, and when we think about all of the legalities that go into HR, whether it's leaves, pay, onboarding and discriminatory practices, all of the things that could be a liability, we really see a need for formal training for employees. Again, this is not unique to Bellflower. This is just a system of being in a school district. And so we talk about that and make some recommendations there. When we look at the comparative school districts, we compared Bellflower to 7 other school districts. You see the ADA there and the UPP. We looked for like-sized districts. We have 3 districts on here that also have a merit system, so San Lorenzo, Calexico, and Lompoc. And the reason that's important is because merit districts usually have more staff. They have more staff to support the functions because, in essence, in an HR department with a merit system, they're kind of running a little mini department. There's a separate recruitment that takes place on the classified side than on the certificated, and we tend to see higher staffing there. But I wanted to put up the districts there so you can see who we are comparing to as we go through the ranking. When we look at the staff, we break them up into 3 categories. We look at management staff, so that would be your high-level management or middle management or low-level management. In this case, we only really have the 2 executive directors that are directly overseeing HR, and so that's the positions there. The technical staff are your operational staff. These are the staff that are really managing the day-to-day operations, that are doing all of the hiring and the recruiting and the onboarding and the processing of the paperwork and all the things that HR does that nobody really understands that they do, right? Because it's so much more than just posting a job and hiring somebody. But that technical staff is really that operational staff. And then the administrative support staff is the clerical staff. So as you can see here, if you look at the bottom of this chart, Bellflower ranks 7 out of 8 in terms of staff, which means they're pretty low in terms of staffing when you look at the comparatives. We take a look at the number you see on the charts, the second to bottom line. It says enrollment to FTE. So it's how many staff do you have compared to how many students you have. And that's the indicator we use to come up with the rank. In addition, in the report, you'll see There is some data that talks about number of vacancies or turnover, number of employees that are served on each side of the house. So we look at that as well. Because for classified and certificated, you want to take a look at the balance of employees, the number of vacancies or positions that have to be recruited for and filled. We take a look at that as well. But for this specific chart, this is based on enrollment to FTE. And as you can see, overall as a department, it ranks 7 out of 8. This is a breakdown. I'm going to break it down now by category. So starting with our leadership. Again, we're 7 out of 8 here with the management staffing on the lower end of the comp group. What is different here is that Bellflower is the only district that does not have an assistant superintendent specifically over HR. Again, kudos to you. You have designated HR as a department. You have hired executive leaders, and I think that is a real step in the right direction. But to note, this is the only department, only district that does not have that assistant superintendent directly overseeing HR. And then it's important to acknowledge that the impacts of the PC oversight. It's very common that there's a director that oversees the PC, and that's specific. And a lot of times when you see, if you take a look at that FTE, total FTE chart on districts that are non-merit system, you see more management. And the reason being is because there's typically some sort of high-level manager and some sort of middle or lower-level manager in an HR department of a district this size. So we're typically seeing layers of management in a district this size in HR. So whether that's a supervisory or HR manager position, it could be something like that. Could be an assistant soup, director, supervisor, something along those lines. The technical staff, again, this is where we see a lot of the impacts of this very lean staff in HR. I want to say that while the staff is lean, right, we see that they're ranked low in comparison. It just means that the staff has been working really, really hard. They have put in a lot of effort and time into supporting the district and supporting the employees and students of the district. And they do so with a smile. I was telling them in the staff training earlier, they genuinely like each other. And I can't always say that about every district. I would also say that our training ended and they sat around and stayed and wanted to talk more about HR. And so just a really lovely, dedicated, hardworking group. But you can see based on that staffing that they are lean, especially in the operational side. Again, these are the people who are doing the day-to-day tasks of HR. So if you were to think about everything that we might have an employee go through, whether it's leaves, extra hours, changing a name, anything, all of those steps, all of those tasks have multiple steps, multiple screens, take probably multiple interactions with employees. Onboarding employees takes a number of steps. I think we looked at the form and there was like 30 steps in onboarding. All of that takes a lot of time, and you have a very lean staff to do that. We do think that some of the operational difficulties or challenges are really coming from this need for more technical staff, both on the classified side and on the certificated side. And in terms of the administrative support, the district is higher. It ranks 2 out of the 8. These positions are technically classified as administrative support, but they should be coordinating and supporting the technical positions. And so there is a recommendation in the report to maybe reallocate some of that FTE to support as more of a technical staff. And so you'll see that in there. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Danielle.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to account for the height difference here with this microphone. Good evening. It's my pleasure to present to the board some highlights of the organizational structure component of this report. There was a lot of information in the report and numerous recommendations, but what we've done tonight is we've extracted some of the priority recommendations that we wanted to share with the board. As Sarah highlighted earlier, there's 3 position types, and any HR department, and that's management, technical, and administrative. And these positions should be assigned in 3 functional areas. That's certificated employment support, classified employment support, and then operations. And there are some gaps in support within the current structure that we observed during our fieldwork, and that's the context in which I'm going to share with you some of the key recommendations on this slide. Knowing that just naturally, because you operate under the merit system for classified employees, that you essentially have 2 departments within the personnel services function. And so there's opportunity now with 2 leadership positions to integrate some of the operational areas that do overlap between those 2 departments. So that is where I want to start with the management recommendations. Already highlighted bullet 1. There is a key recommendation in the report to address some of the needs that we observed in the department by staffing a personnel services supervisory position. This would be a lower level personnel supervisor, personnel manager. This is a utility functioning management position that is involved in the day-to-day transactions. Some of the work that is either a legal compliance issue or just a service issue that we really don't have staffing as it is right now to support was the high-level credential monitoring, credential reporting. There's also employee leave, which is a form of compensation. We don't have a clear assignment of employee leave management, and then position control, which is the system that the district uses to manage your personnel expenditures and document your staffing. It's the lion's share of your budget, and it's critically important that we have a key position that is in charge of managing that information. And it's under that context in which we make that a priority recommendation, and I'll share what that may look like in the proposed organizational chart momentarily. In addition, there are position needs in the technical ranks. On the certificated side, as Sarah shared earlier, we did look at number of employees supported, and when you consider the number of employees that are supported on certificated, it's really pushing into an overload that is difficult to manage. We make recommendations within the report, suggestions for a configuration of assignment. It might be by alphabet, by school site or department, but there's truly a need for some role clarity as well in that area. If you think about Sarah and my visit, we were here for about 16 hours, really sitting in a room trying to map out who takes care of what, right? And if you think about us just dedicated in that room figuring that out, it's certainly difficult in terms of determining roles for some of your internal employees and then also prospective candidates as well. On the classified side, there's also some need for consideration of some personnel in the technical ranks, and that would require some analysis from our executive directors as you think about that assignment of work. The job titles are severely outdated. I think some of the job descriptions were last updated in the 80s, so it's safe to say that our work environment does not reflect what we experienced in the 80s. And so we do make some recommendations for some updates to those job titles that will help clearly define and reflect the work performed, but then also establish roles and responsibilities so everyone can tell from a job title what that position does. In addition, it's also good for your employees to build that professional capacity and have a job title that means something. In the administrative clerical support category, there is a clerk position that toggles a bit between receptionist coverage and partial FTE in terms of the personnel services support and the PC department, and review of those job duties aren't clearly aligned with HR operations and HR support. We don't make any specific recommendations about that position other than we believe that that should be examined further as the departments are thinking about the overall structure to determine if that's truly serving in an HR capacity. So in terms of the key recommendations, there are opportunities to integrate operational support for certificated and classified employees. We don't always have that opportunity under the merit system, but in this district, we have a lot of collaboration between the two departments, and so that helps optimize your staffing resources to truly serve all employees in a comprehensive structure. There is also opportunity for our executive directors to create procedures, communication, department standards for both certificated and classified employees in the areas of leave, position control, mandated trainings, all those requirements that all employees, regardless of their classification, are required to meet. And then making those modifications in the job descriptions, bringing them up to date, and that happens in concert with looking at the job duties and maybe realigning some of the tasks and responsibilities to create some more role clarity. Should the district move forward with some of these recommendations, this is a sample organizational chart, and you see here that is organized in those three functional areas that I spoke about earlier in terms of our certificated employee services, classified employee services, and then we've got the operational band going down the middle there, signaling also in this illustration that this band of operations is sitting between certificated and classified, serving and supporting both areas. Again, this is just a proposal and a recommendation of what that may look like. However, the district moves forward and addressing these needs may deviate from this. So now I'm going to talk about another component of this particular report, which was recruitment and hiring practices. I was responsible for reviewing certificated, and then Sarah will join me more momentarily to talk about her observations in the classified ranks. So similar to what Sarah shared earlier, unfortunately, some of the challenges that we observed in recruitment are not unique to Bellflower. In California school districts, we are very talented at thinking of all the ways to screen candidates out versus creating pathways to employment within our district. I also want to note that there's some things that the district has no control over, such as the staffing shortages and comparability in terms of neighboring districts. That's beyond the control of this report. What is in the control of the district are your operational practices, and that's what we really looked at in terms of what practices and procedures do you have that are creating obstacles for employment within the district. In terms of the overarching recruitment profile, the market is kind of pulled away from the district in terms of your current practices, and so there's some catching up we need to do to help align and modernize your recruitment efforts, your selection processes, and then also the onboarding. In terms of recruitment, I would say that it's a passive recruitment approach where you essentially post a vacancy announcement and then hope for candidates to apply. Recruitment is actively targeting candidates that you want to invite to apply. And I'm going to say this, we have a slide at the end recognizing that recruitment activities have already started taking place under the new leadership within the department. In terms of the selection process, I would call that a decentralized process where school sites were handling a lot of the interviews, which is good in terms of letting candidates see what it's like in terms of the school site environment. However, from the HR standpoint, there's some significant compliance concerns with that and maintaining some control in terms of consistency with interview questions, making sure that panel members have received training on non-discriminatory hiring practices, and then also maintaining confidentiality within all areas of the recruitment process. So pulling some of that back and then working in collaboration with our school sites is the goal here. In terms of onboarding, getting that onboarding process electronic is key, and that was one of the areas that we met with the team about right before we came in here, and we have lots of ideas, and everyone's excited to set forth with that work as well. I won't go over every row here, but just picked out some of the identified hiring barriers that we found in the process, and then recommendations that we make for improvement. Some of these recommendations don't cost anything. They're just a change in practice. So in terms of the job announcements, there's strategies to that for certificated, getting more specific about your grade levels and school sites of where your opportunities are, and then creating timelines to create a sense of urgency with your candidates so they have an idea of when you plan on hiring. In terms of the interview panels, right now the hiring managers are selecting the interview panels, and if you have consistency on your interview panel, then you're probably going to have consistent results, right? So creating more diversity on your interview panels, changing that up in terms of who is selecting your candidates or making recommendations would be helpful. Reference check processes are rather inconsistent, and so doing some work there to have a manager level position doing those reference checks and getting some training on that as well, because that can be a high litigation area should that not be completed correctly. Sarah, I think it's time for you to join me.
You got to put it back up.
Yes.
Yeah. I even wore my shorter shoes. I had the opportunity to review and meet with the classified side, and as you know, in the Merit District, there are rules. And so we try to work within those rules. So one of the things that we talked about was really taking a look at the minimum quals for positions. So what kind of qualifications are you asking for, requiring for entry-level positions? Are they too high? Do you need to take a look at reducing them? Do your quals make do they increase logically as you move up the job family? Those types of things. So a lot of times when we review job descriptions, we're seeing things like a requiring of 5 years or 5 years respectively increasing experience as a clerical person in order to be an office manager. And so we pose the question, do you need 5 years? Do you really need 5 years to be an effective office manager? These are questions that Dr. Olmos would be having with his team and with the PC to say, okay, are we being thoughtful or mindful when we're putting these qualifications together in the job description? Do the tests reflect what is needing to be, what skills utilized? We heard a lot about the paraprofessional test, and so that's the example I used in this chart and in the report. But taking a look at, again, are we creating tools that are screening people out? Is the paraprofessional test relevant to the skills needed to be a paraprofessional? Is the math appropriate, the math level appropriate to be a paraprofessional? So just asking the district to evaluate that. We make recommendations to modernize testing. You guys have already done that. You've already started to utilize the third-party testing, electronic testing. And what that does is it allows people, it opens that availability of testing to more people. It creates an easier process. So we give you kudos for that. Interviews and rating, we talk about how the interview questions may not align with the skills, and that sometimes scheduling raters can be a challenge, and this is the case in merit districts. This is one of the frustrations we hear often. I would say that the district has made strides by using a video process to allow raters to evaluate on a flexible schedule. So we just recommend holding them to a finite timeline, right? So when is that candidate going to be selected by, so that you can kind of rein in that rater screening period. Eligibility lists, when we visited in October, there was already some flexibility with the eligibility lists in terms of not only limiting to 3. We would encourage you to do that, especially in peak hiring seasons and in times or in positions that are really hard to fill. And then we talk about how to communicate with employees that don't get selected. We want to make sure that every employee that is not selected for a position in Bellflower receives a communication from Bellflower, 1. But 2, that good candidates that aren't selected for that position are approached or, kind of followed back up with to say, hey, sorry you didn't get that position, but we would really love for you to apply here, or we think you'd be great here, or we're going to have a position coming up. That's part of that proactive recruitment, and so we encourage that.
All right, so Sarah and I have been in touch with Dr. Smith, Dr. Knox, Dr. Olmos, and just catching up and finding out what's been happening since they received the report. And they jumped into action. Actually, they were jumping into action as we were developing the report. And we just wanted to share this slide, a progress report of some of the recommendations that were included in the report and already the activities that have taken place as a result. Updating the website, starting to work on the certificated job descriptions, recruitment and staffing practices, actually engaging in active recruitment activities with the Job Expo, participating in local job fairs, partnering with business services on the staffing ratios, which is really, really important. Already there's been a lot of training attendance in terms of professional development, a new substitute hiring process where 25 substitutes have already been hired. And then Assembly Bill 2534 is a new law that came into effect in January and has created havoc really in hiring processes throughout the state, but the department is already compliant with process and procedures, which is very good. And then also adding to the certificated website, the BTA, teachers, and CSCA classified union contracts is on the webpage. So again, communication, organization, and a lot of activity happening in the Personnel Services Department. And with that, were you closing thoughts? I'm here. I'm just going to do it. So just wanted to reiterate that this is not an audit and certainly not a performance evaluation, and it is not a directive. So these are just recommendations based on best practices, industry standards, and it's a framework for change. And the department has taken this resource and done just that. They've used it as a plan and a framework for change, and all of these recommendations are not independent or isolated. When you start adjusting one staff member's duties, it's going to have implications elsewhere. So looking at it as a comprehensive whole plan is really important. And with that, I'll close out, and we have the report in front of us. I see the board was taking lots of notes, so we're here for questions if you have them.
All right, colleagues, anybody want to start with questions? Vice President Garza.
Thank you, President Stewart. This is a really long recommendation list. And you do say that our directors have already started working on some of these things. Thank you so much, Dr. Olmos, Dr. Knox, for doing that and jumping right in. So we really appreciate that. Where else do you say we should kind of focus for the remainder of the school year?
Well, that's a hard question that you asked me, survival. Yes. So things have to happen in a particular order, and it starts with establishing roles and responsibilities and making sure that you have the staffing resources in place for implementation. So that's the first place that I would start, is really contemplate and think about that staffing, some of the staffing recommendations that we make, and getting those job descriptions updated. That's the first thing. The second thing, since we are starting to enter the hiring season, we're doing it. Those process and procedure recommendations that we made about using technology for the onboarding process, just changing practice with timelines, creating standards for timelines, really looking at your job postings for employment and being very specific. And we shared some of that advice with the teams, and they were furiously taking notes earlier. So I would really just focus there, recognizing that if duties change, it takes time to learn how to be proficient in those new duties. So I'm going to say, in concert with that, we've got to start tackling some training so that we can build capacity in staff to step to this moment.
Board Member Armstrong.
Thank you, President Stewart. Will our staff need you? Will our staff need your services as they continue going through this process? Because this just cannot happen just like that. And it seems like things have to happen in a particular order. Will we need your services to get this going? I mean, it's already going, but to continue. So a lot needs to be done.
They might. I would defer to Dr. Smith. I mean, what is your...
Yes, thank you for that question, Ms. Armstrong. I think it's the right one. And as you can see, School Services has done a really thorough job of kind of pointing out, strengths, but also some serious areas for growth. I think that their expertise would be most welcome as we go through this journey. We have a very good blueprint, but we could always use the additional expertise to be with us on the side as we go through this process. We've also asked School Services of California to do similar work with our Business Services Department. So they'll be conducting a similar organizational review, I believe, in the next few weeks. And the reason that we wanted School Services to also do that one was because the work of business and HR is interlinked in a way. And so we really think that having a firm set of recommendations will be important. And it would be our intention at some point in the near future to bring an additional agreement with School Services to continue their coaching support along the way.
Okay, thank you so much. And I had another question, but it seems like you got things outlined already. I was going to ask what areas or what's void right now that, like what needs to be filled right now. But it's not that something that needs to be filled. It's things that needs to be reestablished or established.
Exactly.
On our part. So
in the back of the report, I believe there is, did we do an implementation plan? Yes. So beginning on page 65, there's an implementation plan where we gathered all of the recommendations and we put them in phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 3 is like ongoing. Phase 2 is after you get these things in place, then we can start here. So these are just ideas that we have shared with the district teams, but we shared it in an Excel format so that they could move those priorities around as they assess and continue to do this work. So in terms of where the priorities are, if we shared it on these slides in terms of recommendations, that means we feel that those things need to be prioritized as phase 1, but we also have others here in the report. Thank you.
And that, I'm sorry, that report, so the document is how many pages? About how many? Because you said page 65, and I'm like, I don't have 65 pages.
Well, there's some charts in there too. Well, you know what? Mine is double.
Okay.
Okay, so we're trying to save a little paper on this one.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for staff, can we please get that full report sent to the board on the Friday memo, please? I kind of feel like we should have received that, but can we please get it on the next board report or next Friday memo?
Yes.
Thank
we'll
you.
Get that to you.
Other questions, comments? I have quite a few. Do you guys have any? Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I do apologize. I had to step away for a second. So if you already answered this, I apologize. One of the things that comes up a lot is the evaluation process with our employees. Is that something that you saw, or do you have recommendations specifically regarding the evaluation process?
Yeah, so it's hard to interview an personnel department and not hear about evaluations. So it wasn't a focus of the scope of this work. So I didn't spend a lot of time on evaluations. We did talk about it with the staff today. There needs to be some systems put in place for monitoring, communicating out evaluation timelines and then monitoring. We recommend that the system be put in place that certificate and classified follow the same process for collection and for monitoring, which we know is not the case currently. So while the report doesn't focus a lot on evaluations because it was outside the scope, again, you can't talk to an HR department and not hear about it. And so we have had conversations with Dr. Olmos and Dr. Knox since the report. They understand that that's a priority, and so they'll work to create some systems to do that.
Great, thank you. And I do have one more question. In regards to the 1980s job descriptions, when you do update job descriptions, if people are already currently in that job, is that problematic, or how does that work? If you're updating a job description in which people are already sitting in that position, does it just go into effect for new people that come in, or do you have to, could you explain that to me a little bit?
Yeah, so I will tell you that your PC bylaws probably dictate what that looks like in terms of a reclassification when a job description is redone while an employee is in it. And so there is a process by which Frank can work with Dr. Olmos. I'm sorry. I know him from another life. We worked at LA County together years ago, so it's nice to see him here again today. But there is a process in which he can work with his commission to rework the job description, but it does involve conversations around whether or not that position warrants extra compensation, usually, when we do it and an employee is involved. Did I misspeak, Dr. Olmos?
You're fairly accurate. Come on up to the...
Yeah, please. He is the PC expert, so I'll defer to him.
And if I could give an example from what I'm asking, say one of the things we talk a lot about is security, and when looking at the job descriptions for security, I could see some updates there, but then I think about the people that are already in those positions, so that's kind of where I'm headed.
Okay. Good evening. It really depends it really depends. It depends on what they're doing and how close it resembles to the initial nature and purpose of the job description. Sometimes I can easily just update it. Yes, like with new technologies, as long as that the level of complexity and the scope does not significantly change, I can easily update and revise the class specs. And that's so far I've been doing that. Now, if I come across a situation where the person is performing higher level duties, then it requires what we call a position study and may require a reclassification of that position. So It really depends on that.
So if there was say something like CPR training or some type of training that should go along with an entry-level position, is that something that would be difficult to do to add a requirement for a position?
For something like that, I would say no. It wouldn't be a big lift or a key or a hard requirement to add to the job description. Let's say the incumbent did not have that, and we can make arrangements or some kind of transition plan for that person to obtain it within a reasonable time frame.
Got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure, you're welcome.
Board Member St. John, did you have anything?
No, well, first of all, thank you so much. We don't have the full report yet, but this was great. So thank you so much. And, I just want to say again, kudos to our cabinet for working as hard as they do. It's not unrecognized at all. But also, it just highlights a lot of the things that the board is already talking about, and then we have excellent people in place to make sure that these things are coming moving forward and knowing what to do. My question kind of leads from a previous question, and I think mine is more of an understanding of the testing piece of when hiring. So heard it's outdated, but does it change when it comes to different positions, or is it just a blanket test, or can you just walk me through a little bit to understand it a little bit better?
The tests are positionally based. So a paraeducator would take a different test than a custodian, would take a different test than a accounts payable person. Yeah. So it is based on the position.
And to follow up, excuse me. So the test, and then the training comes on top of that. Or a particular training comes on top of that? Is that how I understand that?
I
Or
think if
no?
you're talking about a training like
Yes.
member clerk, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to read your last. I have old eyes, and it's got a lot of consonants in it. So if you're talking about a training like that, that's different than the test, right? Because usually it's a prerequisite.
Got it.
Sometimes, again, I'm not the expert in the PC here, so these are questions that I would direct towards Dr. Smith or Dr. Olmos. But typically, we can see positions that have that requirement that they earn it within 6-month probation period, if that's a case, right? If you're finding it to be a recruitment barrier that nobody has first aid or nobody has the safe serve credential to be a food service worker. Sometimes there is some flexibility there, but again, those really specific questions are really questions for Dr. Smith and Dr. Olmos.
Ms. Cintron, one of the things that I think would also be important is the kind of understanding the full scope of the merit system and how the process works. It can be a little complicated and it can be a little unwieldy. And one of the things that I would make a recommendation to the board is if there's a time in a future meeting to maybe have a merit system 101 just to review some of those practices and processes. And I know our executive director and I have already spoken about maybe doing something like that just to kind of walk through what that process looks like, what the steps are, those kinds of things to be able to address, when do you take the test, for example? What happens after you take the assessment? What are the eligibility lists? All of those things, just because I think it's good things, even for those of us that have some knowledge, deep knowledge. A refresher is always helpful, and we'd like to share that information with the board.
Duly noted and appreciated. I think also just kind of reflecting on almost every time I'm on the dais that I say we need to make sure that we're moving the district forward, and I loved hearing time and time again to update our titles, our job descriptions, and our capacity building amongst our district as a whole. So this is very exciting news to me. I'm amped, guys. So forgive me if I'm stepping on toes or what have you, but I definitely think it came at a really great time. So thank you.
Thank you. I have a few questions. And if you don't have the answers, it's okay. If you want to just guesstimate, it's just, I have my thinking. About how many job descriptions are there in total? Or does anybody on staff know that?
Yeah, 200 in classified. 200 in classified. Yeah, maybe around 70, 75 in certificated.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. My next question is, when did our staff receive this report? About how long ago did you guys finish this report and give it to our staff?
So there's a process to that where we deliver a draft report, and then it takes some time to closely review, and then our teams meet. Our team met with the district team, and then we also met with each executive director separately. So there was weeks and months before we got the final draft, but I think we delivered the final draft recently as we were planning to deliver this presentation.
Okay, recently, like maybe in like the last month or so, would you say?
I don't know the answer
It's
to that
okay.
question,
That one's,
so I do not want to
I'm just asking.
misrepresent. Yeah.
My next question is an organizational review, I've heard that brought up. Is that the same as a forensic audit?
No.
Absolutely not, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to go through my notes, so it's going to take me 1 second. How often do you recommend that we do this again or we talk to you guys? Like, as a board member, we want to make sure that we're making these changes. So if we need to bring you back to do this again, how often would you recommend to our board that we should do this again?
I don't know that I would not recommend that the board invest its resources in a full organizational study and position analysis that you did for this study. But I do want to tie back to Dr. Smith's suggestion that we provide ongoing support, and maybe as part of that support, the change and the implementation is best made with your internal team and your staff,
Okay.
not us, right? So us supporting that work and and then encouraging our executive directors to share with the board progress, or a cabinet member to address these progress reports, I think would best serve the district.
Okay, so then my next question is for staff. How are we going to communicate our progress on all of this with our board? Or can we discuss how we can do that so that we can make sure that these updates are taking place?
Of course, we'd be happy to have a discussion with the board on that front. One thing that I would recommend is, and that I've seen in having worked with school services in the past, is doing an annual update. And so I think it would be helpful, for example, in about a year around this time, we come and bring an additional update to you to indicate how much progress we've made, what areas we focused in on, that type of thing. So this way you can see the roadmap and the progress down the map that we've done. I would recommend at least on an annual basis. The board obviously could ask for more, potentially a biennial basis, but at minimum every year.
Whether that be annually, biannually, can we add that to our governance calendar or to our chart so that we remind ourselves that we need to make sure that we do this again in 6 months or a year?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, I know you hear from teachers a lot. I'm a teacher as well, that, you get that criticism of districts that they're top down, that they're heavy, top heavy when it comes to that. So just a general idea of why would we be able to justify, I know we have a lot of this, but just a general, what will we say to our community members to justify that we need to hire more admin and district people or district employees, if you understand what I'm asking?
I understand exactly what you're asking. Yeah, so the position that we are recommending, the personnel supervisory position, it would fall below a director and more of like, I would put it on the level of a custodial supervisor. This is a hands-on manager, but some of this work that needs to be addressed, employee leaves, position control, this has true fiscal implications attached to it. And so we need a level of responsibility to hands-on oversee and manage that because of the fiscal implications of that. And I would say that it is the liability and the risk that the district assumes by not having this staff member to oversee this work would far exceed any concerns about being top heavy. This isn't, executive level leadership that we're recommending. This is a roll your sleeves up and supervise, manage, support the work.
Absolutely. So it really affects our day-to-day, I wrote down in our notes.
It absolutely does, yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I have one more class question. I know we talked about having an assistant superintendent over HR and that we are the only one that does not have that. Why would it be important to have one, if you could explain that to our community and to our board? I know we don't have one, but why would it be important to have one? And why does everybody else have one and we don't?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but as far as one of the things that we do when we just provide this data for comparative purposes, we gather the job titles of the department heads just to look at how that work is organized. Now, in terms of can you exist without an assistant superintendent? Sure, you can. But there are some operational, transactional duties that an assistant superintendent handles at the executive level, engagement with the board, engagement with collective bargaining, and it's really just what are your needs within the district. And I want to back out of this conversation because I should have said this first. The way that you organize the department and the job titles are based on the district needs, not on people and performance. It's truly based on your organizational needs within your personnel services function. Now, we were simply pointing out that the district is an outlier and that you are the only district in similarly sized districts that do not staff an assistant superintendent. Does that data mean that you should go out and just take action to get level and the same as everyone else? Absolutely not. It is just a data point, a piece of reference information that should be used in ongoing discussions in terms of what is the best way to staff this department.
Okay, so to rephrase my question, What do you think we should look at to determine if we need one or not?
Well, if you elevate that position, you will not have a director level position. And so when you have your staffing configuration of management, there's 3 categories within that: supervisory, director, executive level leadership. And as far as the oversight areas within the department, it's going to require certain responsibilities with each position to provide that comprehensive support within that area. So if you were to elevate one position and not backfill that, then you would have an assistant superintendent position with no other layers of support if you were just sitting at the organization that you are. So you can't really make that decision just in isolation without considering the other layers of support that you need, because if you're only staffing an assistant superintendent and you don't have any other management positions taking care of some of these other areas, then you're going to have something called leadership creep. And what that means is when you have higher level positions getting pulled into transactional work, and they're not able to lead in some of the important areas that they have. So I really can't answer that question as black and white, because it really depends on the overarching organization of personnel services.
I just want to add to that, to Danielle's point, the idea of the assistant superintendent would not be in addition to the 2 executive directors that are currently there, right? Because as she presented it, it's an elevation of one to create that high level of position in HR, the person that's dealing with the attorneys, that's doing the labor negotiations, that's doing a lot of the complicated disciplinary actions with employees. That person is going to be busy, right? And so that's why that lower level operational manager would come into play. But if you don't have that lower level management position, you would have a huge gap in addition if you had that assistant superintendent. So that's why it's not a black and white answer.
I understand that, but I'm looking at this page and understand that I'm just asking because I don't fully understand, and we as a board have to make important decisions, so I'm trying to understand. It says on this page that we have 2, our total FTE was 2, and that we ranked 7th. So why wouldn't we add 1 on top of that to be at 3 to be level? Why does it have to be moving a lower level up? Why wouldn't we just additionally add 1 on to catch up where we would be more competitive in this chart?
You could, but I would still prioritize the supervisory position over the assistant sup. That would be my recommendation. And that would bring you to 3.
Okay, so you'll make a recommendation on that. Why would you recommend that? Based on what? Because you just said we couldn't make a recommendation based on the other things, but we were recommending a supervisor. Why would you recommend a supervisor and not assistant superintendent?
Because of the work, the needs in the department, and the work that needs to be addressed in terms of employee leave management, position control, and some of the other recruitment needs that you typically don't have an assistant superintendent involved in.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have other questions? Nope. Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you.
All right, moving along to major action. Tonight we have one major action, 12.1, and that's the Bellflower Unified School District Foundation. Mrs. Acevedo?
Yes, if I can direct the attention of the board to item 12.1, what you have in front of you is a recommendation from the committee for the names of the individuals to create that very first foundation board. And I don't know if one of our members would like to share a little bit more about that.
Clerk Critchfield?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say I'm excited that we got to this point with the foundation. It's, Amy and I were talking about this like way back in the day, and just like it's been a process. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for all the work that went in to getting us to this point. It's very exciting, especially Mr. Zarega, who did a lot of the work, and it's just a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of administrative stuff. But to get to this point is really awesome, and I want to say thank you to everybody that applied to be a part of the board. In committee, we went through the applications, and I feel very good about the recommendations before the board this evening. We have a very diverse group that's going to bring a lot of different experiences, people that have a lot of experience with foundations. Within an inaugural board, it's very important to have a strong board that understands the importance of fundraising and community outreach so we can make the biggest impact for our students. So this is just great, and I'm just really excited and very grateful, and also to our president's leadership in getting to the point that it's at today. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, and as far as like the names on here, I know you guys can look up and see the names, but we have a lot of community members, alumni, people that have a lot of background and connections to our community, and so I'm really excited about this list, and I hope that we approve this. Mr. Sarega, please.
Thank you, President Stewart. One thing I would like to mention, if we can get two separate motions, one motion to approve the appointment of 4 individuals to a 4-year term, and one motion to approve 3 individuals to a 2-year term because they're staggered. So I know it kind of puts the board in a little bit of a spot, but we need to pick 3 and 4.
A little bit of a spot? Okay, say it one more time. 1 to approve a 4-year term for, a 4-year term for 4 of them, and then 3 of them a 2-year term.
Yes.
Okay.
It's 4 and 4, and 3 and 2.
Well, does anyone, before we, you guys, these are just names. They might not mean much to you guys, but is there any questions that you guys have? Any comments on this? Oh, not you. The others? First.
So, you guys, who helped get these names? So Brad and who else?
There was an application process. It was posted on the website. We received 8, and we had to pick 7.
Okay, so you guys know how they ranked. So just go with, you guys just pick some names, because I know a few people on here, but I didn't go through the process. You guys interviewed them and everything, so just do it. It's okay.
I don't really have a problem with that, I'll be honest. I have a problem with making this decision on the dayas right this second when you could have told us ahead of time. That was my problem, but we can do this. We're flexible. We'll do it.
Madam President, Linda is throwing up 2.
No, Linda will be a 4-year one, because we know she's going to be here.
So the thing is, it's not really of any real consequence because they can be reappointed again after 2 years. So it's just to delineate in the beginning because there are staggered appointments. So it doesn't necessarily affect any one individual or place any like or dislike toward them. It's just a function of how this board has to operate in its initial years. Those 3 board members could then be reappointed to 4-year terms following their 2-year terms.
Okay, I have one other question.
Okay, sorry, one other question. Clarifying question. Were any of these members asked if they would like to do a 2 or a 4-year term, or are they all being elected? Well, because now they're not being elected. What were they told, the applicants?
So from my understanding, they were made aware that 3 would be serving 2-year terms and 4 would be serving 4-year terms. I don't think there was a question on the application as to preference.
Okay.
But again, it's just, they can always be reappointed. It's just how we have to stagger it at the beginning.
So that was my question, Amy. I was going to say, if we could just vote these people in, and when they meet as a board, can they determine amongst them? I'm just asking.
I think that's where the recommendation to get this started off appropriately. If it makes it easier, I'd make a motion. You said 3-year and 2-year?
2 and 4.
2 and 4. So I'd make a motion to approve for a 4-year term, Allison, Mark, Jen, and Chris to a 4-year term, and a 2-year term for Brianna, Linda, and Tanisha.
Second?
Second.
I seconded already. But thank you for participating. I love that. So we have a motion. Do you have those names? Do you guys need him?
They're on the record.
It's okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. And now we need a motion for the three, or did he say both of those?
I messed it up, didn't I? I put them all together. Exactly what we said not to do.
We're okay? Okay. All right, moving along to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any items to pull tonight for the consent agenda?
I would like to pull our purchase orders 13.12.
Any others?
I'd like to pull 13.15.
Any others? All right, so can we get, or I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and withhold items 13.12 and items 13.15. Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. All right, so our first pulled item is 13.12, purchase orders for approval. Clerk Critchfield.
I just want to, first of all, I want to say thank you to Renee for the work on just fixing a lot of things that in the past, again, the purchase orders have been very complicated and problematic, so I appreciate all the work being done. The reason I pulled is just I've noticed a lot of purchases, and I think it's really important when we are making larger purchases, specifically vehicle purchases. I see a lot of 2025, Ford, and I think that's great. I'm sure people appreciate the new shiny vehicles, but at the college I just got a van for our department, and they were like very aligned with the board policy of not buying things that are too expensive as opposed to something that can do the job that's less expensive. And I've just noticed a lot of brand new vehicle purchases. So I wants to be just conscious of that, and I'm sure that there is oversight, but even our own board policy 3300, it's false economy to save money by purchasing an item which cannot do the job required of it, and it's wasteful to spend money, more money than necessary to purchase a quality item when a less costly item would do the job just as well. So I think with vehicles, sometimes it's actually a cost benefit to get something new because the maintenance and things that can go wrong. But getting a vehicle that's just a couple years older, that's still in warranty, that does the job and save a lot of money without the hassle of getting something that's super old. I just find as we go forward, we need to start looking at ways to save money. I think that's an easy one. And there's plenty of other examples I could go down, but again, I just want to make sure that stays on our radar as a value that we have from being financially responsible and making sure we're saving as much money as we can so we could spend it when we need it on the things that we want to invest in. So that's the only reason I pulled that. Thank you, Madam President.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion to approve 13.12?
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. All right, so the next the next item withheld from the consent agenda was 13.15, and that's award recommendations for bid transportation. Board Member Cintron.
Thank you. So the reason why I wanted to pull that is, well, one, I know it's a 1 year, so I'm not saying anything about that. But I just want to go back to the conversation that we had in our January 9th meeting of when we requested a timeline of what that's going to look like transportation-wise internally in the district. We haven't received any follow-up with that, so I was hoping to get an update as to now, but also what that timeline is going to look like to make sure, even though we have this additional 1 year of outside bidding for transportation, what we're doing internally to make sure that the full idea of having our district take over.
Thank you, Ms. Citron, for that question. The update to that is we have been moving the entire time since that January board meeting, and we are now currently working through the process of bringing on board a transportation manager. We completed that process recently. We also have a transportation specialist that is running through the merit system process right now, and we hope to have that job on board in the next month or so as well. We have also worked with our consultant to provide details regarding support in creating a plan so that both that new manager and actually the entire team in transportation, because it includes the mechanic shops and all of those different pieces, will have kind of a guideline for moving through this process. And so I've reached out recently to the consultant, provided more details about our hiring processes and where we landed, and we hope to bring back something to the board shortly from our consultant to kind of walk you guys through the process. So thank you so much for asking that question.
I appreciate you so much. That's the only question I had, and thank you so much for that. I look forward to seeing all the great things that we're going to do, and just wanted to make sure that our community knows, especially those that had concern about our transportation, knows that the district is moving forward.
Yes, and since I have the mic on, I'll give another plug that the bid award process went really nicely. We did receive, even for a district our size, quite a number of bids for this process, and I think we, at least to lead us through this next year, got a great company that came with great recommendations and that prices were reasonable. And so I was really happy with the results of the process as well. Thought I'd share that too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Garza.
Yes, thank you, President Stewart. Ms. Arcus. Thank you. I know that you discussed with us, I believe, a previous meeting recently, that you were going to present the contracts to the board so that way we can see them as well. So I don't see it attached to this one. Is there a way that the board can get this contract?
This is an award recommendation, so now that we have an award recommendation, we will go back to the contractor based on their rates, and we will work through the negotiations of the contract. So
Okay.
there's no contract for transportation at this time. The award recommendation will work for that process, but we need to go back and get the contract in place and get going. And we're going to move quite quickly to make sure that we have the process in place for our students in the next coming school year.
So that's our next step.
Yes.
Okay. And just, you don't have to give me an exact date, but ballpark figure, like when would you be able to bring back that timeline to the board? With
I reached out, I don't want to give an exact date for that purpose. I reached out to the contractor recently, and I will provide in the Friday memo, maybe or a memo to the board when the contractor can get back to me. We've been working back and forth for about a month and a half, so it is coming near to a close.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, the next step will be you'll go out, you'll get the contract, and then you'll bring the contract back to the board to approve, or is this already approving it?
This is approving the bid award,
Right.
and so the contractor rates we will bring back to the board.
Okay. Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Was this the first one we did through Planet Bids? No?
No, we used our old method with this one. Our first one was the Mayfair Fields.
Okay. I'm glad that we got all these responses and it seemed to go pretty well. But I do remember when we were talking about this, we were kind of like, the general vibe was like, no one's going to want to do it for a year, and we're not going to, we're kind of stuck with this because there's no way. what was different about like this experience? Was it just surprising, the reception of?
I think it was surprising. I think that one of the things that we have that maybe we didn't express enough value to is the buses. So having our fleet of buses is in such good shape was a draw to many of the contractors. I mean, some contractors would even be probably interested in using our buses, even if it wasn't to transport our students. We do have a mighty good fleet, and we've maintained them well. And so I think that was something that was kind of underestimated, because I too thought that it would, be harder. And the span of the pricing was very different. So, right, you did see that, while I think that we've got good recommendations and a good vendor, there's definitely some prices that might have been a little higher based on the year-long, offering. And so I don't want to discount anything. I think both parts played into it, and we ended up with someone that is that I'm hopeful will be a great partner for this year, and then even in the future with maybe additional needs as we see fit. So I want to build that relationship.
Okay, but really just for the year. That's actually my next question. We did have discussion on like the status of our fleet and how the buses were, as it pertains to them using our buses. What did we discover since then? Because there was a little bit of confusion. At one point, someone was saying like, we have 5 buses that are not up to code and can't. And then somebody said it was 1. Like, where are we at with that?
We did. We brought several buses back into code and back onto the, because we have so many buses, we do have the ability to move through different buses because we don't have as many routes as we have buses. So there was, a possibility of some buses being out of service for a particular amount of time, although we weren't really happy about the amount of time. But we have moved forward with many of our buses being brought back into service, and there's been a lot of polishing, a lot of, taking care of the buses, looking at them from a different light. And again, we're looking forward to getting the staff on hand that will really start to finalize some of those processes.
Got it. Thank you so much. I did just one last question, if I can. The pricing that we got for this year, how does that compare to our old pricing?
It's similar to what we had experienced with our old pricing. So the bid that we were able to take is in the ballpark of our old pricing.
Ballpark, more or less?
I'd say it's really, really
Like
close.
neck and neck?
Now, remember, when we have to bring you a bid document, we have to use certain criteria to determine that pricing. And so we used averages. So they would give us a price on a home-to-school route, and then we'd say, on average, we do 9 of those times this many days of school times this. We do summer school. So even these prices, and that's why you'll get the contract back when we come back to it, are, estimates based on that. So the pricing was pretty good, but it was very different than the pricing that we were receiving from a different vendor, which was more overarching. So there was a, kind of a big price for the services we were being offered before. Now this will be a little more distinctive to the number of routes, the number of buses, the number of field trips, and those kind of things.
Got it. And given CalApps, they use Hemet as well, and it's a big cost for them. Is that something that's kind of discussed as far as making sure that how does that work with purchasing? Like, is there like a piggyback thing going on?
They're included in the pricing. So
They are?
CalApps,
Okay, good.
their trips are treated like, I'd say, precursory, like a field trip, for lack of a better word, because they're priced individually, and then we can use the CalApps funding for those.
Got it.
So they're all inclusive, and they were actually one of the criteria that we used when we were trying to band the pricing together.
Got it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If CalApps is included in the pricing, does CalApps give back to us then money for that, or no?
They pay for their buses.
Okay.
We just have to include, when we were looking at a field trip cost rate based on what the vendors gave us, we knew that CalApps utilized those, and so we priced those as such.
And then I just have one more question. With this bid, how many drivers did we ask for in the bid?
I think we used, I know we used 4 for the summer school route, and I believe we had, it might be 10 to 12 on the home to school route.
So in total, it was about 16?
Well, the 4.
Well, because the 4 will drop
the
off
4
when
will
the
drop-
other.
Yes, they'll
sorry.
be in there for that.
I understand.
That's
Okay.
the number of routes that we told them that we would have. But again, when the pricing model comes up, we'll hopefully have more information on the routes.
Okay. Clerk Richfield.
Sorry, me again. So with the contract, because I know we've hired a couple of positions as we move towards the ultimate goal of bringing it in-house. With those positions that we've already hired and the one that we're in the process of hiring, because we've vendored out for this year, do they have other duties assigned to them this year? Or how does that work if we've hired the positions but we're vendoring out at the same time?
Remember, we've had similar positions already established that we're
Right.
kind of monitoring those activities, so this is nothing different. The benefit here is that the new people coming on board will be able to spend some time kind of navigating our district, figuring out how we do things, or, getting more information, while they'll still have to do a lot of conversations with the bus company. That will not go away regardless. It just changes. When they become our internal bus drivers, there's a conversation between employees versus you
Got
still have
it.
a lot of conversations and activities with external agencies. So
Got
that
it.
doesn't change.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Board Member Armstrong.
Yes, and how many of those buses will be wheelchair? I'm speaking on special education transportation.
I don't know how many buses we have right now that are wheelchair buses. I know that we have enough to complete the routes as necessary. So
Okay.
we don't have any shortage in
But-
regards to.
But all of that includes special education transportation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion to approve 13.15?
You have that motion?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Third.
Second by Board Member Cintron. Roll call, please.
Student Board Member Supnet?
Aye.
Ms. Armstrong?
Aye.
Ms. Cintron?
Aye.
Mr. Critchfield?
Aye.
Mrs. Garza?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye. All right, moving along, we are going to go to board communications, and we are going to start with our amazing student board member, Alyssa Subnet.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. There has been a lot going on at Bellflower, so the dates might be a little crazy, so I apologize in advance. Before spring break hit, our ASB got to attend a conference in the Bay Area for CASEL. They got to stay there for 3 days and were awarded the Outstanding Leadership Program Award that has been consecutively earned. They got to present one of our big events, which is Bug Blast Off, where the 6th graders get to come and get just a little clip of like what's going to go on when they attend. It is testing week, and it was very nice to have the TK burgers for the current 12th and 8th graders. It was very good. To kind of cool off testing and give like our students a bit of fun, we did have our senior fundraiser of SoCa Senior. This is our first year doing it. It was actually such a fun time. And even though it was cold today and yesterday, I got lucky and got to do a day where it was hot. There was a total of 3 sizes to choose from, and we were even had an added option to add ice to our water to make it extra cold. Our class ended up getting a little bit over $1,000 for the senior class for our grad week activities. We got some of our organizations of Link Crew, sports captains, ASB, and our favorite teachers. The brigade also got to go on a Hawaii trip. They got to perform, and I just think that was so cool that they get to go over there. As well as ensemble got to go to Utah and Vegas for their ensemble trip, where they got to perform at a total of 6 schools. Coming up, we do have a middle school dance. It's our little foam Alicia's dance, where they get to play with bubbles, which I think is very cool. And then for our juniors and seniors, prom is coming up next Saturday. And yeah, Next Thursday is decision day for our seniors. Glad that it's getting over with. We get to have a little breakfast, and as well as we also get to have our medical assistant exam. So wish me luck. As was said in the beginning, it's more of just cramming of graduation and promotion. It's a lot of celebrating. We do get to celebrate our teachers soon, and ASB has decided to create posters and share some nice adjectives to just show our teachers that we appreciate them. Senior finals are coming up, as well as senior awards night, senior celebration, our cap and gowns, grad night, and just grad week in general, as well as the 8th graders get to go on their universal trip. But yeah, it's coming close to an end, which is very relieving. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Board Member Armstrong.
Excuse me, y'all. So good evening to everyone, all in attendance, and I, as well as my board members, we do appreciate your attendance and participation in this process. So I've just been busy being a parent to my senior, and getting ready for prom and graduation and finalizing what college she wants to go to. Oh my goodness, she's my last one, so yay me. So that's what I've been doing. I hope everyone had I don't know if you celebrate Easter or not, but if you celebrated Easter, let's celebrate new beginnings and all that it means to those who practice that. Also, this is Jewish Heritage Month, so if you guys are doing anything in the classrooms, that would be great. And also the Armenian genocide, the awareness of that happening, that's another thing that's going on this month. So I'm just really trying to stay healthy. Thanks so much for the hot water. This is what I have to drink to be able to stay here without coughing so much. So anyway, that's it. Finalizing, trying to figure out what college my baby wants to go to, and prom. Oh my goodness, are you ready? Well, I am. I'm excited. This is really a very exciting time for me. So I'm just, like I say, enjoy being the parent at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Armstrong. Board Member Sinchon.
Thank you. So I hope everybody enjoyed their spring break. I did want to let everybody know that I did attend NSBA with board member. Do you remember? It feels so long ago at this point. No, we haven't. Do you want to chime in? Okay. Okay, and I really, really enjoyed it. It had so many different workshops, different variety of topics. I did a lot of the safety workshops when I attended, so I have a lot to bring back to the safety committee. Some knowledge, some training that I can share as well. Also, I got to participate at the Capturing Kids' Hearts workshop right after I came back. And I have to say, for those that haven't attended a workshop, and I believe this workshop it's usually really, really long, and we got a snapshot in 2 days, and it was the most delightful and also positive training that I think our teachers would benefit, some of our cabinet members benefited, and I would say our board could possibly attend as well. I think they would. It really reflects on how we can help and support the students on campus, mental health, creating positive culture on campus, continue that positive culture. It was amazing. And if anybody has questions, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to share the information with you. I also wanted I attended the BTA Who Awards. Shout out to Carrie again. Congratulations. Also, I will be attending the Coast to Coast with a lot of my colleagues here and some of our cabinet members next week in Washington, D.C. So I look forward to that. It will be my first time talking about things that are directly affecting our schools in our school district, seeing what the plan is on federal levels as much as we can, and what we can do to advocate for our districts, but also in company of the surrounding districts as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. But on a personal note or a request, I didn't know where to stick this one, so sorry guys. If we could, and I've had a few people reach out to me, so this is why I'm bringing it up. If we can add a post on social media about the days or on the days that we're going to have our meetings, and the link. At least just a shout out or a reminder to our parents and our community members that if they can't attend, they want to watch on the link. I realize for those that don't know, our link never changes, and I'm looking at one of these cameras. Our link does not change. It's the same link for every meeting. For those that don't know that, it took me a while to understand that as well. But also on our website, I know it's on our website, but apparently there's too many clicks to get to the link. So if we could somehow bring that link forward, make it an easy one too, especially for those parents that are driving, they just want to listen, so they can just click in and not be on their phones while they're in the car. So yeah, that's all for me, I think.
May I just add on to some of this stuff?
Just really quickly, can you maybe put in our Friday memo what you do? Maybe it's a pop-up on our website or whatever you decide to do. Can you send that to us on our Friday memo so that at least we can let the community know?
Yes.
On the board meetings?
Yes.
And then just one other thing. I don't know if you said it, Board Member Cintron, but she was talking about capturing kids' hearts, which we use in my district, and it's absolutely amazing. And then one more thing. I know you're going to talk about NSBA. No, talk about NSBA because we've talked a lot about how to get the information that we take at these conferences back to each other. I know we have that Dropbox, but if it would be okay too, if we have any just publication forms or things that we can ask to make copies and then give them to the rest of the board, maybe that's an idea, because I know we've been struggling with how do we take the great information that you guys got back to us. Maybe if you have any cool worksheets or anything, maybe we can just make copies. I don't know, that's just an idea. Go ahead, Board Member Armstrong.
So I did attain information about creating conditions on a budget for special education, the blueprint to IDEA budget. I also did a workshop about air. Oh my goodness, it's something about the air quality, and I need to bring that to you guys so that we can apply for a grant. They're like trying to give money out, and air quality, you guys, it's important here in Southern California, and I did something on about the future of schools. Again, like I said, I have all this information, and I can definitely share it, and especially if I can. And then another one was called Supporting Individuals with Disabilities, and Hope for the Wounded, the trauma informed practices and wellness strategies, and it was a lot of work, making our voices heard. I have a lot of stuff to share. Okay, so both we'll get that stuff to you. But that drop down box, you guys, I can't do that, but you can definitely print it.
I feel like it works if you get slides, but like there's some conferences I go to where you don't get slides, but sometimes you get folders that are kind of cool. So I'm not sure, but I haven't been to that conference. I know Clerk Critchfield does. I don't know if you have, but if we could, I don't know, or maybe staff, if you could try to think of a unique way that we could share the information that we get from conferences with each other, because there's a lot of good stuff, but we don't all get to experience it.
I would suggest if the items can just be dropped off, we can scan them and place them in the electronic folder and then make copies if you want hard copies. And
That would be
distribute
an
it next
amazing
time.
idea.
So
Thank
we can
you.
do it both ways.
Okay, that would be great. So we can utilize that if we would like to. All right, Clerk Critchfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all for being here tonight. caught Dan falling asleep twice, but it's okay. It's all right. Appreciate you being here. Just a quick recap of what I've been up to. PTA reflections. That's always a great event to see all the students work. Foundation meeting, athletic committee meeting, both on the April 2nd. Went to the intramural wrestling event at Mayfair. Attended David Ariano, councilman for Lakewood. He had a 1-year anniversary dinner, so I attended that. Also did a trip to Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters, so it's all about communication and marketing. I always love going there. I was with my other hat, but the great thing about working at the college is sometimes I'm doing personal development there that also helps inform decisions and initiatives here. So really good stuff. CalAPS board meeting, legislative committee, Good Friday YMCA breakfast. That's always a huge event. Always hard to get out of the parking there, though. The Star Awards was awesome. And Carrie, I apologize. I couldn't make it to the event, but I just want to say thank you for everything you've put up with and all of the work you've done. I've always appreciated the conversations and collaboration. I know it's not easy, but I appreciate your sacrifice and your willingness to be in that role. So thank you very much. I also did a stop by the YMCA Bellflower. I kept saying I was going to go over there and tour the facility, but I couldn't get around to it until this week. So that was great to actually see our students over there enjoying the facility. It really puts things in perspective. And one thing I do want to bring up is with the Mayfair Fields, I know that the topic came up in a city council meeting. And, you know, one of the things I think that we've worked really hard to do is be a collaborative partner as a district. I mean, we came in, I know my colleagues, would agree to a large extent, is one of the things we've really focused on is communication, transparency, and collaboration. And, you know, the Mayfair Fields project is a great example of how, you know, even though we have, it's our project and it's not the city's project, being a good neighbor and being a good partner is really important. So the more we inform them, the better, and you know, it's reciprocal in the relationship in the long run, because you know, we might communicate to our parents, but there's a lot of residents who live in that area, and maybe they're not on that mailing list, maybe they're not on the top of mind all the time, but you know, the stadium is a huge benefit and asset to the community when it finally goes, and they should be brought in that conversation. So I would highly encourage the collaboration with us. And I know there has been some meetings with staff and speaking with the city council over there. I know that there is very positive conversations there, but I think the piece that we're missing is the actual communication to the residents in that area, because they're the ones, you know, calling in with, you know, complaints or a slight anxiety about what's happening. And we might know that the process is unfolding, and I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping, bringing updates as fast as we can because of some uncertainty there, but the fact that it was brought up over there tells me that we need to maybe reach out a little bit more and make sure that we're being good neighbors in this process. Also, bittersweet, but I do want to say congratulations to Coach EB as he's taken a role as head coach of Servite. I think it is a loss for our students, but I don't want it to, you know, it's not lost on me the time and investments he's made in that program, the school site and those wrestlers and students in general. I think he's done amazing work for that program, brought a level of prestige to the program in our district. And I just want to say thank you to Coach Eby for everything he's done for that program. I know he's leaving it in a much better position than he found it, and I think he's going to have good coaches coming in, you know, right behind him. So I'm optimistic there. But I think it's really important that we do everything we can as a district to retain our high-level coaches. And sometimes, I had a long conversation with him. But sometimes when you work at a district so long, some of the issues that keep coming up, sometimes it's, the straw that breaks the camel's back. But I think it's really important to talk to people that are leaving the district and find out, their real raw experience. Do we have an exit interview for employees?
No, at this time we do not, and that's something that is on our roadmap.
I think it would be great. I think that, sometimes when people are on their way out, they can be pretty honest, when they're on their way out. And finding those things that, they might have encountered, I think it'd be a great practice. I'm no expert in it, but if we did that, I think we'd get some really good information. And, in the future, it might help us retain coaches longer, retain teachers longer. I think it's a great thing to do. But I do want to say congratulations to him, and I'm optimistic about the future, but he's going to be very missed in this district. Coming up next, the Washington, D.C. trip. I'm excited about that. Renita told me not to party too hard, so I won't. I'll be good. And also, when we get back, I want to shout out the Long Beach Ronald McDonald House Walk for Kids. Every year, my family goes out there for my daughter's team, Victory for Victoria. So if you want to register for that, it's May 3rd at the Pike, the Rainbow Lagoon. It's a great event, supports the house, supports the kids. And then I do want to say I will miss the May 8th meeting I'll be out for a couple weeks, but I know the dais is in good hands. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Critchfield. I hate saying Clerk Critchfield. That's why I've been saying Mr. Critchfield, because Clerk Critchfield just doesn't go smoothly for me. Vice President Garza.
Thank you, President Stewart. So I was able to meet with our staff members regarding bond matters and Clerk Critchfield.
I spoke into existence.
Yes,
Sorry.
you did. We also had our alliance meeting with our representatives of the district, our staff, and also our board president. I also attended the legislative committee with our superintendent, Lisa Acevedo, and again, Clerk Critchfield. And I was able to attend the PTA Reflections Awards, the Star Awards event as well. And I had signed up for the BTA WHO Awards. I am so sorry. I was not feeling well, but a much well-deserved honor for Carrie. Thank you so much for everything you do for our students. And also the parents of those students, because a lot of times we find ourselves giving them guidance as well. So it's much appreciated. Thank you. And then I also was able to attend Las Flores Open House. And I want to make a very important comment on this open house that I attended, because I know that our committee for, it's a mouthful. Can you remind me the Declining Enrollment and Facilities Committee? We are looking. We went to San Diego to look at some of these schools over there and had a great time. Saw a lot of great programs there. One of the things that I'm hoping that we can continue, as well as Clerk Critchfield, and I think most of our members on that team, we're really looking forward to going to our own schools and seeing what programs we have ourselves that we already can make gems. They are gems. So maybe we can duplicate those things that are positively going on in our campuses right now. And Las Flores is one of them. When I went in there, I saw a lot of intent in the way that teachers actually were working with students, and they guided them through these projects. And they really looked like project-based learning. At the end of this whole time that they were taught, and it did marry the standards with that project-based curriculum that they had. So don't know exactly how or what the program is, how it's really set up. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about it. But I can tell you that the kids were really happy. They were presenting to us, and a lot of them used many of the standards that they were learning. So that's something that we can kind of maybe look at pretty soon. Also, I just was able to get this, what's it called? Sorry, a little brain dead right now after such a long day. This announcement to high schools, the Robert Garcia's Congressional Art Competition. So high school students, if you are, art inclined and would love to participate in this program, their due date is April 28th at midnight. So not a lot of time, but definitely if you are looking to do something like that, then there is an opportunity to showcase your art. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Vice President Garza. Good evening. I met with our esports teacher, Mr. Palacios. We discussed the curriculum being used in his class and in the after-school enrichment classes, how students are using AI in the classroom and in the future. And I definitely would like to get some of our students to present. I've talked to Mrs. Acevedo at a board meeting or in one of our committees, because it's really cool to see the students, they know so much about it, to have them actually be presenters in the future. I attended our PTA Reflection Awards. Congratulations to all of our winners. Thank you again to PTA for everything that you do for our students. I met with CSA President Michelle Cuellar and Representative Doe too. We discussed training for our employees. We discussed special education changes that are coming up, and we discussed how we contract out for specific jobs. So that was always nice to meet with them and hear their thoughts on things. I attended Teacher Appreciation Night at Dodger Stadium. It was so historic, literally, Mr. Fong. It was the worst home loss in Dodger history, but it was a great night to be with family and friends and celebrating educators. We just didn't celebrate by clapping, right? Last Sunday, I went to support our labor unions, LUNA, at the Grand Prix. This was my first time at the Grand Prix. It was really awesome seeing that. But I did get to actually talk a lot with Congressman Garcia about just the state of education right now. I know Long Beach Mayor Rex Richardson and Sheriff Luna were in attendance, so it was just a really nice event. I'm thankful to Nick Santos for the invitation and just look forward to collaborating more with our labor partners in the future. I attended the Star Awards, an honor to celebrate our classified and certificated employees and Teachers of the Year, our Employees of the Year. Congratulations to all of you guys. You are so fabulous. You are truly the stars of our district, and we appreciate you all for the work that you do for our students and families. And again, thank you to you guys for our staff for putting that together. That was awesome. I attended the WHO Awards with our BTA partners on Wednesday. Congratulations again to Carrie McDaniel, our BTA president, for winning the award and representing BUSD so well. You just work really hard for our teachers, and I think you were the perfect person to win this award. And I can 100% relate. Being president is not the most fun thing sometimes. So I appreciate everything that you've done, and we will truly miss you. I attended the Bravo Awards earlier today. That was an excellent event. Congrats to our own Cindy Weeks from Woodruff on her award. She was instrumental in helping found and establish our wellness rooms, and I appreciate the focus that she gives to our students and especially that social emotional need. So we really appreciate her. We also had 2 of our BUSD students win awards for their essays on how they can improve life in our city, and that was really cool to see those. To get their awards. And then the ensemble, I joke with Mr. Diaz because obviously I went to Bellflower, I'm biased, but they are so amazing. Thank you to their teacher, Mr. Shu. They just did such a great job with the national anthem. They're so good. So I love seeing them anytime we can. After that, I had a great talk with and a tour of our fire museum. It's under the main center. I had never been there. I spoke with Ernie Ramirez. And one thing that's really cool about that museum is all the workers there are retired firefighters. So he and I spoke about partnering with schools to come and visit, like field trips to come visit the museum. They do tours for students in classes, and there's a grass area like behind the museum, like by the railroad tracks, where students can bring lunches and eat. And so that would be a cool idea, I think, to partner and take some of our classes over there, especially our Cal App students. So I know Mrs. Acevedo already sent that over to Mrs. Whitney over at our Cal Apps. On May 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., they are closing down Bellflower and they're having a celebration to celebrate Fire Service Day. So he said that was going to be a really cool event. There'll be some special guests, some special vehicles. So if anyone wants to come out, again, it's Saturday, May 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I also had a great talk with Jana from the Women's Club here in Bellflower. We talked about something that I didn't know about, and it's called Pinwheels for Prevention. And I don't know if you guys know about it, but we talked about, it's a little late for this year, but I told her whoever becomes president or board members next year, we could maybe collaborate with her. But basically the significance of the blue pinwheels are, and you may see them around town coming up soon, is they are to recognize and to shed light on the problem in every community with regards to child abuse. So it just, when you see the pinwheels, it's kind of like the red ribbon when you talk about cancer and things like, or not, sorry, red ribbon with the drugs or the cancer little bows. It's a new symbol. It started in about 2008. I just read an article on it. And so it just brings awareness and spreads prevention. So we maybe we'll be able to partner in the future for those. Next week, I received a lot of calls regarding staffing, so I wanted to just add that. I know we're going to discuss the LCAP on May 22nd. I think it's really important to talk to your site administrators, and when we do surveys and we send them out to the community, please take them, because you're using your voice to let us know. We are still going to talk about that when we discuss LCAP on May 22nd, so if anybody else has anything that they would like to add, please come out and advocate and talk here and talk about the things that you would like to see. Another thing, I do want to remind our board members, we need to really all please do a good job of getting our questions in by Tuesday. I know it's hard, sometimes we're all busy, it's in our governance handbook, but if we can try to get our questions in and give our staff time to answer those, that would be amazing. And then lastly, next week, I am excited to attend the CSBA Coast to Coast Conference in Washington. We are going to be discussing education, policies, protocols that affect our districts and our students. We are scheduled to meet with Robert Garcia's team as well as Nanette Barragon's, and we have some training and we have some trips, so I'm really excited to attend this conference with my colleagues. So thank you so much. All right, moving on to informational items. Does anybody have any questions regarding information items? All right, hearing none. At this time, the board is going to recess back into closed session. There will be no further action taken in open session. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight's meeting of the Board of Education was called to order at 6:05 p.m. in open session. The board then adjourned to closed session at, I didn't write that time down, 8. And we'll now reconvene the meeting into open session at 9:20 p.m. Board Member Critchfield, will you please report out closed session items?
The board discussed labor negotiation. No action was taken.
All right, if there is no objection, the meeting is adjourned at 9:21 p.m. until the regular board meeting or the special board meeting on May 7th.